Stand in modern York and look around. Tourists move through narrow streets lined with medieval buildings. Cafés spill onto cobblestone lanes. Shops fill the famous shambles. Buses pass through ancient stone gates that have stood for centuries. Above everything rises the enormous Gothic cathedral, York Minster. Its spires reach toward the sky, a reminder of centuries of faith and craftsmanship. Massive stone walls still circle the old city, giving York a calm, historic atmosphere that feels unmistakably English. But remove it. Remove the modern storefronts. Remove the Victorian brick buildings. Remove the paved streets, the glass windows, and the cathedral spires. Strip the city back more than 1,000 years. The York you would see around 900 AD would feel completely different. The air would smell of wood smoke, animals, and river mud. The streets would be muddy, uneven, and crowded. Timber houses leaned toward the road, their roofs covered with straw thatch. Traders shouted in unfamiliar languages, selling goods from distant lands. And the people walking those streets would not call this city York. They would call it Jorvik. Because at this moment in history, the city was not ruled by English kings. It was ruled by Vikings. From Roman fortress to Anglo-Saxon town, to understand York in 900 AD, you have to go back much further. The city began as Eboracum, founded by the Romans in the 1st century AD. It started as a military fortress, but quickly grew into one of the most important cities in Roman Britain. The Romans built strong stone walls, straight roads, baths, temples, and administrative buildings. For centuries, Eboracum was a major center of power. Roman emperors even ruled from here. One of them, Septimius Severus, died in the city in 211 AD while leading campaigns in northern Britain. But Roman rule eventually collapsed. In the early 5th century, the Roman Empire withdrew its armies from Britain. Without Roman administration, many cities declined. Buildings fell into ruin, infrastructure deteriorated, and political authority fragmented. Over time, Anglo-Saxon settlers moved into the region. The city's name gradually changed to Eboracum, meaning something like wild boar settlement. Although smaller and less organized than the Roman city, Eboracum remained an important regional center. Yet another transformation was coming: the Viking conquest. In 866 AD, a massive Viking force arrived in northern England. Historians call it the Great Heathen Army. This was not a temporary raiding party. It was a coalition of Scandinavian warriors determined to conquer territory and settle permanently. At the time, Eboracum was caught in a civil war between rival Northumbrian kings. The Vikings exploited this conflict and captured the city with relative ease. Once they took control, they adapted its name to their own language. Eboracum became Jorvik. From that point forward, the city became the capital of a Viking kingdom in northern England. By around 900 AD, Jorvik was one of the most important Viking cities outside Scandinavia. The shape of the Viking city. Despite the Viking takeover, the city's basic layout still followed the Roman structure. The old Roman walls continue to define the city's boundaries. Inside those walls, however, the streets had changed dramatically. The straight Roman roads had gradually become narrow lanes and winding pathways. Buildings were mostly constructed from timber. Walls were built using wooden frames filled with wattle and daub, a mixture of woven branches and clay. Roofs were thatched with straw or reeds. Houses often faced directly onto the street, creating tight corridors between buildings. Behind each structure were small yards used for animals, waste disposal, or craft work. The streets were rarely paved, and during wet weather, they quickly turned into thick, treacherous mud. Archaeological excavations in the Coppergate area have revealed remarkably preserved remains of these Viking streets. Rows of narrow plots show where houses and workshops once stood side by side. A busy trading hub. By early medieval standards, Jorvik was a large city. Historians estimate that roughly 10,000 people lived there during the Viking era, making it one of the largest towns in England at the time. But what made the city remarkable was its diversity. Its population included Scandinavian settlers from Denmark and Norway, Anglo-Saxon locals, traders from across Britain, and merchants from Ireland and the broader North Sea world. Objects discovered by archaeologists show just how far the city's trade connections reached. Markets and crafts trade was the heartbeat of Viking York. The city's location made it a natural commercial centre. Two rivers met nearby, the River Ouse and the River Foss, allowing ships to travel upriver and deliver goods directly into the city. Markets were crowded and noisy, filled with the shouts of traders and the clatter of wagons. Goods sold included wool and cloth, iron tools, pottery, jewellery, animal hides, timber, and food supplies. York daily life in Viking York was busy but challenging. Most people lived in small wooden houses that served multiple purposes. A single building might function as a home, workshop, and storage space. Inside, the central feature was usually a hearth used for cooking and heating. Smoke escaped through openings in the roof, filling the air with the smell of wood and burning fat. Lighting came from oil lamps or small candles. Sanitation was limited, and waste was often dumped into pits or thrown into nearby rivers. Religion and cultural change religion in Viking York was complex. Early Scandinavian settlers brought their traditional Norse beliefs, worshipping gods like Odin and Thor. But by around 900 AD, Christianity was spreading among the Viking population, influenced by Anglo-Saxon neighbours and political alliances. York had been an important Christian centre long before the Viking conquest. Over time, many Viking rulers adopted Christianity. Archaeological evidence shows both religious traditions coexisted. Christian crosses have been found alongside objects decorated with Norse mythological imagery, demonstrating a cultural blending that defined this period. The end of Viking rule. The Viking kingdom of Jorvik did not last forever. During the 10th century, English rulers gradually expanded control into northern England. In 954 AD, the last Viking ruler of York, Eric Bloodaxe, was expelled. The city then became part of the Kingdom of England, yet the Viking influence did not vanish. Nearly a century of Scandinavian rule had already shaped the city's culture, economy, and even its name. Jorvik evolved into York, but the memory of its Viking past remained embedded in the streets, the layout, and the stories of its people. A city with deep layers of history today, very little of the Viking city is visible above ground. York today feels like a peaceful, historic city. But around 900 AD, it was something very different. It was a Viking frontier capital, a place where Scandinavian warriors, Anglo-Saxon farmers, merchants, and craftsmen shared the same muddy streets, where trade routes stretched across continents, where cultures collided, merged, and evolved. Buried beneath the modern pavement is the memory of Jorvik, a Viking city that once stood at the centre of northern England. Its stories, artifacts, and streets invite us to imagine a world both foreign and familiar. If you enjoyed travelling back in time to Viking York, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And tell me in the comments, which ancient city should we explore next? Because history isn't just in books, Sometimes it's hidden right beneath our feet,